అందరికీ నమస్కారం. శ్రీ జిఆర్ చింతల గారు, చైర్మన్ నబార్డ్, డాక్టర్ చెరుకుమల్లి శ్రీనివాసరావు గారు నారం, డాక్టర్ జి మునిరత్నం నాయుడు గారు, డాక్టర్ అంచా శ్రీనివాసన్ గారు, డాక్టర్ రమంచి శివాజీ గారు, శ్రీ కిదారు వెంకట రోసయ్య గారు స్థానిక శాసనసభ్యులు, డాక్టర్ విష్ణువర్ధన్ రెడ్డి గారు ఉపకులపతి ఆచార్య రంగా విశ్వవిద్యాలయం, శ్రీ వై రఘునాథ బాబు గారు చైర్మన్ టొబాకో బోర్డ్, డాక్టర్ వి రవీంద్ర బాబు ఐఐఆర్ఏ, శ్రీ వినయ్ గారు నరిశెట్టి, శ్రీ ఆర్ కిషోర్ బాబు, శ్రీ ఆళ్ళ వెంకటేశ్వరరావు, ప్రొఫెసర్ సారంగపాణి మరియు మిత్రులు సుధీష్ మరియు ఇతర కుటుంబ సభ్యులు, distinguished guests, others who are all watching this program online. I am really delighted to inaugurate this event of Ranga Trust being held to commemorate the 120th birth anniversary of Acharya Ranga, who was a great freedom fighter, farmers' leader, social reformer, and an outstanding parliamentarian. Friends, Sri Gogineni Ranganayakulu Garu, more popularly known as N.G. Ranga, came from a peasant's family. After receiving his B.Litt in economics from Oxford University, he returned to India at the age of 22. Inspired by Mahatma Gandhiji's call in 1930, he joined the freedom movement, championing the cause of farmers. He had led farmers' agitation in Andhra in 1933. He fought for the peasants, their self-respect and economic freedom. A true son of the soil, is considered the father of the Indian Kisan movement, along with Swami Sahajananda Saraswati. Bringing actively into the freedom struggle, he took part in the civil disobedience movement, individual satyagraha, and Quit India movement, and brought many peasants to the fold of the national liberation movement. Starting from pre-independence time, he contributed to Indian polity as an astute parliamentarian for around 6 decades. This was a Guinness World Record. Acharya Rangaji was an outstanding parliamentarian. He was the farmer's voice in parliament. He was the epitome of dignity and always followed value-based politics. He was known for his simplicity in personal and public life. He had trained many political workers across the country and more so in Telugu states. The number of people who were in politics in various parties, they were trained by him during those days. And he has started school also for them, political school training class. Rajakiya Pathsal. Dear brothers and sisters, agriculture is very close to my heart, and I have always strived to further the cause of my brothers and sisters in rural India. As we all know, India has been an agrarian economy. Since ancient times, agriculture is the bedrock of our civilization and economy. That's why I always say agriculture is our basic culture. Endowed with great natural resources of soil and the monsoon rains, agriculture had always played an important role in the growth of our economy. Even during this pandemic, if there is one sector which was showing a forward movement, it is agriculture. Even though it does not dominate the GDP numbers in the recent years, it will not be an exaggeration to say that we depend on it directly or indirectly, even today. The adage Annadata Sukhi Bhava aptly reflects the respect accorded to a farmer by our culture. Over the years, in spite of the implementation of policies and schemes to improve the lot of farming community, the results have not been satisfactory, and the farmers continue to face challenges on many fronts. From not getting remunerative price for his produce to effectively tackling the hazards of natural calamities. For the past few decades, we have been witness to an increasing number of extreme weather events like cyclones, storms, floods, and droughts. The climate change is staring at us. The farmer becomes the worst hit in every adverse event. In addition, the farmer has been perennially facing a variety of problems like shortage of water, farm labor, lack of timely and affordable credit, and quality inputs, lack of mechanization, cold storage facilities, godowns, and the absence of effective marketing system are some of the reasons for agriculture not fully reaching its potential. Thus, there is a need for a multi-pronged effort for making Indian agriculture sustainable and profitable. Successive governments have done their best. And the present government, led by Sri Narendra Modi, has given highest priority to the well-being of farmers. They have initiated a series of measures, including the recent revolutionary legislation giving the farmer the freedom to sell his produce at the place of his choice and removing interstate trade barriers, among others. We have been agitating farmers. Even I remember, after my student life, the first agitation to join was the peasants' movement. There should not be any restriction on the movement of the food grains. Okay, Ahara Mandalam, one food zone, the entire country should be. That has been the demand. In another 30 years, we will have another additional 30 crore mouths to feed in the country. There is not much scope to increase the area under cultivation. Yeah, thanks to our farmers, hats off to them, we are able to achieve green revolution. We have surplus food stocks as of now, but we should not be complacent. The reason is increasing population. We are a huge country with regional variations. And with these natural calamities, as I was mentioning, so agriculture is becoming unremunerative. People are leaving agriculture for better opportunities. We must reverse this trend and see to it that the farmers are given the needed adequate support at all levels. So the option before us is of producing more with less land and inputs. That is only possible with a change in our practice and our approach by making agriculture resilient, sustainable and profitable. In these times of uncertainty, we have to bring an effective synergy between our traditional knowledge and state-of-art technology. Our forefathers have mastered the art of agriculture. They had bred resilient seed varieties. They used eco-friendly manure and raised hardy leguminous crops that strengthened soil quality. Now, by excess use of manures, fertilizers, pesticides, we are spoiling the quality of the land. The government has come up with a soil health card. We need to improve the health of the soil. And we must use judicious use of the water resources. And we must also see that the dependence on this fertilizer is reduced and we go for nature farming. In the northeast Arunachal, paddy cum fish cultivation is practiced by Aptanis, an agriculture community in Arunachal Pradesh. So we have to really think in terms of coming out with new methods, new practices. We must go for advanced sustainable methods of cultivation. For hundreds of years now, they have mastered this technique of practicing integrated fish culture with rice farming in the same plot of land in Arunachal. We need to popularize such local innovations for replication elsewhere. I was happy to read stories in Anadata, in Raitu Nestam, also in other farmers' magazines about the methods adopted by certain progressive farmers who are really producing more, using less manure, and also coming out with new varieties. This trend should be encouraged. The sustainable practices have also been found to be better productivity with minimal investment. We must educate the farmers. We must reach out the rural people with much more meaningful practices and information. The sustainable practices have also been found to give better productivity with minimal investment. On the other hand, technological advancements in the agri field have to be leveraged too. According to the 2019 NASSCOM report, India has more than 450 agri-tech startups growing at a rate of 25% annually. They must grow further. This new way of technology in agriculture is more than just the shift to mechanism like the use of tractors. Well, basic mechanization should further expand to all corners of the country. We should not lose sight of cutting-edge technologies that are changing the way agriculture is practiced the world over. We should develop and use more climate-resilient seed varieties. We should also adopt precision agriculture practices, which have become the order of the day. Now the use of drip irrigation, drones, and sensors that cater to the needs of each individual plant. Even if artificial intelligence is used in agriculture now, it was reported that a farmer in Japan used artificial intelligence to sort and grade his produce of cucumbers on the basis of their size, color, and texture, thereby saving hundreds of laborious man-hours. We should not lag behind in experimenting with such technologies here. The current situation arising out of the corona pandemic has added another challenge to agriculture. However, many companies utilize this situation to create new and more efficient supply chains, dismantling the old ones. The pandemic also taught us important lessons about changes we need to make in our eating habits. We must go for proteinous food. We must avoid junk food. Consumers are expecting higher levels of nutrition in their food nowadays. This presents an excellent opportunity for building entrepreneurs in agriculture by giving profitable and steady income to the growers. My dear sisters and brothers, we need to ensure the farmers get the fruits of their hard work and their endeavors are profitable. This should be the main operating principles in agriculture going forward. This will be a real tribute to Professor Acharya Rangai, because throughout his life, he has taken up the cause of the farming community. In parliament, in public life, in political field, his thrust always used to be taking care of the agriculturists. So better price discovery mechanism like the ENAM portal of the government are laudable initiatives, but should be expedited further. Farmers must have the freedom to make decisions on when, where, and whom to sell. This is very important. And this decision has to be welcomed by one and all, leaving aside politics. Farmers should be encouraged to take up allied activities. This is also an important aspect, like horticulture, sericulture, aquaculture, dairy, poultry, food processing, to diversify their source of income. Similarly, there is a need to create awareness among the farmers for diversification. Apart from cultivation of pulses and cereals, farmers should also be encouraged to grow commercial crops which are viable. The private sector in food processing should be encouraged for building post-harvest facilities like warehouses and cold storage that will help farmers to retain value for their produce and also generate employment. insurance schemes like Fasal Bima Yojana, they are the right steps in right direction. They should be universalized. All these measures, along with technological interventions and sustainable practices, will bring a shift from just having food security to ensure income security for the farmers. Farmers' welfare, as I was telling, was core to the aspiration of Acharya Ranga. And ensure income security to farmers is the way to achieve this dream. Dear sisters and brothers, it is heartening to see that agri-science and agriculture universities have made a resurgence of sorts in the recent years. But they must work hard. They have to attract more talent and come out with innovative research to make Indian agriculture more robust, sustainable and profitable. Research should focus on benefiting the farmers lab to land. Should not be a mere slogan. The students of the agriculture sciences courses, they should spend half of their time in the field. Even the other students, the primary level of education, they should be taught about the importance of agriculture. I would also like our schools to include a component in the curriculum where students will grow vegetables or fruits in their yards. We used to have a gardening class and also agriculture class during our childhood. But now they are missing. We must bring them back. Farm visits also should be arranged. This will not only expose and connect the students to the nature, but also help them appreciating the back-breaking efforts of the agri community in bringing food to their table. My dear friends, I have had the fortune of being with Rangaji when I became legislator. I used to go and spend time with him in Rangabhavan. And he used to take his guidance. He used to recall those days of freedom movement, early parliamentary days, debates and discussions. I really got enriched. My thought process and my orientation was influenced by Rangaji. On one side, Sri Thinneti Viswanathan, who was my guru in the early days of student movement, and later Acharya Ranga. Because of Rangaji, as I told you, my determination to serve the rural people became more stronger. And I developed a passion. In addition to the background, I am a farmer. I come from a village. I see the sufferings of the farming community, but also the larger vision was influenced by Acharya Ranga. I have no hesitation in saying it. Not only me, like that he influenced thousands of people. Noted parliamentarians, legislators. Gautu Ratsanna was his product. And many, even Sivaji Yalamanchiri, who is there in this program, as Munratnam Naidu, who is doing a great social service in spite of his advanced age and health condition. It's all because of Acharya Ranga. Even Rajagopala Naidu of Chittor. Many. I can name number of people who have been trained, and then he taught them a political culture and influenced their thinking, because for Rangaji, politics and public life was a mission. He never bothered about himself. And as I told you, he lived an exemplary life. The need of the hour for today politician is to go through Ranga's life. The dignity, the decency, the accuracy of facts, the living condition of the people. For anything, you refer to his life, his speeches in Parliament. And when he used to speak in Parliament, there used to be rapt attention, all sides, including Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. He could question Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru directly in Parliament. Those days, early days, Nehruji's influence was vast. He was unquestioned leader at that time. Rangaji used to differ with him a lot of issues, particularly on the agriculture and also other issues. Acharya Ranga, Dr. Syam Prasad Mukherjee, and later, of course, Hiren Mukherjee, then Indrajit Gupta, then Nadpai, Vajpayee, Minu Masani, Minu Modi, lot of parliamentarians. They all has emerged from this great parliament. So today, with the falling standards in public life, which are agitating the minds of the people, and also the problems of the agriculture community mounting, and also the lack of value system, parliamentary decorum and decency, it is time we visit the lives of the people like Acharya Ranga and try to imbibe those qualities. This should be endeavor of all young politicians, present politicians, future politicians. They must read life and teachings of Professor Ranga and others and practice them in their life. I am the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. And I see what is happening. Sometimes it pains me seeing what is happening in the Rajya Sabha. There is every need to see, to reorient our approach, to become constructive, not obstructive. We must all see to it the level of debates are raised. Discuss, debate and decide. Do not disrupt. Because disruptive politics will do harm to the country and the people. So Acharya Ranga's life, his teachings and preachings, his conduct in parliament, his conduct in public forum should really be studied, and it should become a guiding principle for us, irrespective of whatever party you are in. Maintain the legislators, the language they use, the parliamentarians, political party leaders. It's really saddening. When you hear the speeches of some of the leaders, the words they use, the accusations and abusations they make against each other. We should treat each other as political rivals. That's what Rangaji taught all of us. అందువల్ల మిత్రులారా, ఈరోజు చాలా సంతోషం. ఆచార్య రంగా గారి యొక్క 120వ జయంతి ఉత్సవం జరుపుకున్న సందర్భంగా దీన్ని నిర్వహిస్తున్న ఆచార్య రంగా గారి ట్రస్ట్ను నేను అభినందిస్తున్నాను. ఈ కార్యక్రమంలో పాల్గొంటున్న మిత్రులందరికీ కూడా అభినందనలు. రంగా గారి జీవితం, ఆయన చూపించినటువంటి యొక్క రాజకీయ పాఠాలు అందరం కూడా ఒకసారి అర్థం చేసుకొని, ఆయన ప్రతిపాదించిన విలువలు, సాంప్రదాయాలు, ఆయన పార్లమెంట్లో మాట్లాడిన తీరు, చేసిన ప్రసంగాలు, ప్రజా జీవితంలో సాధారణంగా జీవిస్తూ అసాధారణ వ్యక్తిత్వం, కానీ సాధారణమైన జీవితం ఆఖరి రోజు వరకు. ఇలాంటి లక్షణాలను వణికిపుచ్చుకునే ప్రయత్నం చేయాలా. రాజకీయ ప్రత్యర్థులతో విభేదించినా ఎలా వ్యవహరించాలని ఆయన మనకు ఆ రోజులో చూపించాడు. ఈరోజు మనం చూస్తూ ఉన్నాం, మన ప్రాంతాల్లో, ఇతర ప్రాంతాల్లో, దేశంలో అనేక చోట్ల వస్తున్నట్టు ఈ వార్తలు ప్రజలను కలవరపెడుతూ ఉన్నాయి. ప్రమాణాలు తగ్గిపోవడం, సిద్ధాంతం తగ్గిపోయి రాద్ధాంతం ఎక్కువ కావడం, ఆరోపణలు స్థాయి పడిపోవడం, ఆలోచనల స్థాయి పడిపోయి ఆరోపణల స్థాయి కూడా పడిపోతుంది. అందుకని ఇలాంటి మహనీయుల యొక్క జీవితాలను మనం జ్ఞప్తికి తెచ్చుకుంటే యువతరం, నవతరం, నేటి తరం మరింత స్ఫూర్తివంతంగా, అర్థవంతంగా ప్రజా జీవితంలో ముందుకు వెళ్తారని చెప్పని నేను విశ్వసిస్తూ ఉన్నా. ఈరోజు ఈ కార్యక్రమంలో పాల్గొనేందుకు అవకాశం నాకు లభించింది. నేను వెంటనే బయట వెళ్ళవలసి ఉంది కాబట్టి ఎక్కువసేపు కార్యక్రమంలో ఉండలేకపోతున్నాను. ఈ ప్రాతకాలాన్నే ఇలాంటి మంచి కార్యక్రమాన్ని ఏర్పాటు చేసిన యొక్క మిత్రులని, అలాగే ఈ కార్యక్రమాల్లో పాల్గొంటున్న వాళ్ళందరికీ కూడా మరొకసారి నా శుభాకాంక్షలు. ఐ ఎక్స్ప్రెస్ మై హ్యాపీనెస్ టు बी हियर एट दिस इवेंट विथ ऑल ऑफ यू. मेरा शुभकामना है, जो लोग इसमें भागीदारी हो रहे हैं सबको शुभकामना है. मैं युवा पीढ़ी से अपील करूंगा, कृपया आचार्य रंगा जी का जीवन, उनका पार्लियामेंट्री करियर और उनका प्रसंग पढ़ने के लिए प्रयास करिए. उसमें से बहुत कुछ आपको मिलेगा भावी भव्य जीवन के लिए. इसी दिशा में हम सब लोग आगे बढ़कर, किसान हो, शिक्षार्थी विद्यार्थी हो, प्रभुत्व अधिकारी हो, सब मिलकर एक आत्मनिर्भर भारत, सेल्फ सफिशिएंट इंडिया दिशा में हम सब लोग आगे बढ़े, यही मेरा प्रार्थना है. చాలా సంతోషం. అందరికీ శుభాకాంక్షలు, ధన్యవాదాలు, నమస్కారం. జై హింద్.